So I think as a YouTuber, we all have days where we don't get many views. Sometimes we get zero views. I actually did a video yesterday and it got zero views. Can you believe that? But that's okay. That's a part of the journey. I'm going to tell you kind of what zero views teaches me. Like, what do I learn every time I get a video that does zero views? And how that might help you, you know what I'm saying, on your YouTube journey, if you're thinking about getting into YouTube or if you're already doing YouTube. So without further ado, let's get straight into the first one. So one thing I've learned is that if a video starts out with zero views, it doesn't always mean that it's a bad video. I know, go figure, right? Like, I think we all want our videos to be like home runs out in the park, me included. I always want to see how a video does early because I think that tells me a lot about the video. But I know that I've done a couple videos with no views, and I'm like, man, those are some really good videos. Like, and they are like those might be my best videos are the ones that I probably didn't get a lot of views on, and the ones that I have gotten a lot of views on doesn't mean I didn't work hard on them, but I might not have put as much time and work in them. So sometimes it's also knowing that you're putting the time and the work, but it's not always equal. You know what I mean? It's not always, and I'll talk more about that later, but it's not always equal. The time or the work that you put in does not always mean that you're gonna get the reception that you want. But just because you get zero views out the gate, it does not necessarily mean that your video is a bad video. Sometimes it might just take time for the video to catch. Sometimes people got to double back and watch it. It could be a lot of different metrics. I've also had a video a few days ago that I posted where it started off with like a low ranking, like it was like 5, 6, 7, 8, and then like it ended at like 2 out of 10. So that also shows you that sometimes videos can pick up traffic, and then obviously we'll see over time how these videos pick up traffic over time, but you just never really know. So the second thing I talked about was knowing that all work isn't the same. So just because you put more work into a video doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to perform better. But I think that is a good thing because, it shows you to kind of create without validation. You know what I mean? Like you're creating because you want to create and not necessarily because you need something from it. Like one thing I can't tell you is I can't tell you which videos are going to do good and which videos are not going to do well. I have an idea, whether it's thumbnails, whether it's concept or, something like that. I have an idea. And sometimes I make similar videos to see which one does well the other ones. And honestly, I have not really figured it out. I don't really know which video is going to do well. I don't really know which video is not going to do well. But I think that when I have like a good concept, good title, good thumbnail, good packaging, like I've talked about in my videos below, I think it does help because I think the main thing is just getting people to like watch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just be like, I'm interested. Let me click. So that's kind of like the main thing that I try to work on. But if you're kind of looking for validation from views, you'll probably be let down a lot because it's going to be a lot of videos that just won't do well. And I don't think you'll always know why they won't do well. Sometimes you'll figure it out, but sometimes it's just because that might not be the video. Sometimes it could be because that's not the video that your channel, is made for. Sometimes that's a completely different video than what your channel is made for that does well. Like you just kind of have to watch the themes, and really the themes to me only come over time. Like after I made a whole bunch of videos and time has passed, weeks or months, then I can kind of see like trends like, okay, this video did well, this video didn't do well. So I think the most important thing that I do is I create from ideas and not from validation. So if it's an idea that I want to talk about, like for example, what do I do once my videos get zero views? Then I'm going to talk about that because it's the idea. As long as it kind of goes along with whatever the theme of my channel is and what I'm trying to, I guess, get out to you guys, then I think that's the main thing. So understand that you're creating for creation's sake and not necessarily for validation. I think the third thing is, what do I do when I get zero views? How do I feel? Like, what does it taught me? Sometimes it teaches me nothing. Like I just go on to the next video. Like I literally say, okay, that video didn't do well. I'm on to my next idea. Like I have a whole bunch of ideas. I got literally a note full of ideas, like video ideas. And I asked Chat GPT, like, hey, is this a good idea? Which one should I follow up with? And me and Chat have a conversation like, two normal human beings, right? Or human being and AI bot. And Chat gives me feedback. Hey, this one did well, this one didn't well. Let's go in this direction based on your last theme. And that's kind of how I choose which videos to make. I have an idea, I see which idea is the strongest out of the ideas, and I just make a video on that. So when I have 0 views, I don't necessarily, yes, it's a bummer in a minute, but I try to get over that as quick as I can and go on to the next video, because the truth is I don't know how well that video is going to do ultimately. It might stay at 0 views. I doubt it, because I don't have any videos on my channel that stayed at 0 views. Now, will it get 100 million billion? I don't know. But I thought it was a good video. I did good, and I've improved, and I think that's the main thing. And speaking about, the video earlier when I said, like, sometimes I do my best work and it doesn't get views. One thing that I've learned is that consistency compounds. You know what I mean? So it's not on a video to video or view to view basis. It's over the time with videos. Like, even when I make videos and it takes me longer to do the videos, usually it's something that I'm adding, it's something different that I'm doing, it's something different that I'm trying. And that's only going to compound not just my consistency, but I think my ability to do good work. One thing that I've learned by doing videos, even when they got views or no views, is I've gotten better at putting together a better video. I've gotten better with coming up with a better concept, whether it's a better concept, thumbnail, title package, or just better ideas that I want to make videos in general. I think a lot of times we have a theme or idea in our head, and it doesn't often come to reality the way that we want it. But I think the way that you get more clarity on is you have to keep working at the idea to make it clear. So you'll start with an idea and it's like, oh, this is what I want to look like. And where we start at is not always where we want the idea to be, but we have to work to make the idea clear. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So I think, like I said, when I'm creating just to create and not out of validation, it's more so to make whatever that idea that I have or however I want things to look more clear in the long run. And the only thing that I can do is continue to get better at my video making skills, whether it's my editing, whether it's my talking points, whether it's my concepts, whatever that might be, backdrops, whatever it is. It's just improving on that idea and concept. All in all, I've learned a lot from my my 0 view videos, just how I've learned a lot from my videos that do get views. Obviously, none of us want videos with no views, but I do think that there's still some good things to look at in videos with no views. I didn't even know if I was gonna make this video because I'm like, man, like I was feeling bummed about not having no views. I was, but then I had to get perspective again. I'm like, why are we doing this? Are we doing this for the views, or are we doing this to create? And it could be for both, but I think ultimately is like I have an idea and I'm trying to put my idea out to the world and I'm trying to hone that idea. And I think the best way to do that is to do it in the basement where nobody sees. What is that a representation of? 0 views on YouTube. So the best way to cultivate ideas, I think, is when nobody's watching, man. Like, because you can get all the kinks out. You can mess up. It can be bad. And nobody cares because nobody sees it. You don't have to worry about if you're good enough, if people are going to judge you, if you're being too personal or not personal enough, or your flow, you don't have to worry about that, because nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's the most important thing is to remember is like, you care. Why did you start doing this? Like, yes, you want to get views, but why did you start being creative? Probably because you're a creative person. So you have to create from that and not so much of the validation. And understand that sometimes efforts compound. And sometimes you can't control the views. Sometimes, we're still figuring out how this thing works, and that's okay. We're still figuring out how this thing works, and that's okay. So that's what I've learned from 0 view videos. Drop your thoughts in the comment. What have you learned when your videos don't do well? How do you feel? What keeps you in the game? Drop it in the comment. I'd love to have a conversation about that. Till the next time, just keep your head in the game. It's not the end all be all. I never seen one video on YouTube end at 0 views. Just haven't seen it. They started 0 views, but I've never seen them end at 0 views. I could be wrong, but if somebody has a video with no views 3 years later, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I just haven't. But these are my thoughts. Till next time. Peace.